But because of the way I built my business, it's grown tremendously during that time period. And they knew what they were doing. Okay, so I would sit down with them, train them on how to do the presentation properly, and I would never let them go see the client on their own until I knew they could do that. This is back like in 1979, in 80, a long time ago. And then I went, oh my God, this is like unbelievable. And then I found Primerica. I tried those other things like I mentioned earlier, but then thank God I found Primerica. But I learned how to do all that. When I'm the point of getting that, it's all learnable. I don't care even if you think you can't do it. I know you can do it. You can do it for sure, no doubt. Now you're going to have to be uncomfortable. You're going to have to, apply yourself. You're going to have to stop watching TV as much as you. You're going to have to make some concessions in your life if you're going to be successful. There's no easy road. Because you make a living from 9 to 5 and you get wealthy from 5 on. You're not going to get wealthy from 9 to 5. It ain't going to happen. Okay. So you're going to have to do something more. If you have a desire to become wealthy and get financially independent, and you get that freedom on that. So then recruiting at the kitchen table is really just a simple thing. I mean, I always recruited off a shortfall. It's so easy when somebody, especially if they don't have enough money. Like if we did an F&A today, and most people, in my experience in talking to everybody, when you do an F&A, what percentage of people have shortfall to what they actually really need to accomplish their goals?
100%.
Like 100%, right? I mean, it's got to be pretty close to that. It's really rare to run into somebody that doesn't. Okay. So if they have a shortfall, I would recruit off the shortfall. So I'm sitting across the kitchen table and we put the plan together and we find out you guys need to be saving actually $1,200 a month to meet the goals that you said you have, right? Right now say you're saving $200. Okay. So you basically have $1,000 month shortfall. So one of the things is going to happen. You got to reduce your goals and your dreams that you want to have, or you got to increase your income. Right. What would you rather do?
Increase our income.
Okay, great. So making an extra $1,000 a month once you get licensed and you get fully licensed, know what you're doing, that's a piece of cake. That's not difficult to do. You just got to apply yourself a little bit. But I think that's thinking way too long. I think you need to be thinking about replacing your income and making 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 times what you're making. I think you guys as a couple are that kind of couple. You're the kind of people that should be thinking really big. And even if you don't feel that right now or you're not seeing that right now, you just, trust me that I know the kind of people do well here, and you are it. I mean, you guys would be like posters of Primerica with your credentials. I mean that. I'm not just saying that you really are. And I'm really excited about working with you and helping you accomplish that. Genuinely need okay, that's gonna happen. All right. Okay.
Let's go. It's rock and roll, man. You have me at hello.
So that's right. To read a little close, I'm just kind of trying. What I'm really trying to do is show you the way I talk to people. That's the way I talk to people when I was sitting down with them, and I was just and I wouldn't say that if it wasn't true. I mean, if it wasn't true, I would never say that. But if it's true, then I'm going to say it. I'm going to point out everything that's right with them, and every reason why they do great. Got to look for that, okay? And that's how you're going to get more people to get involved and get people to do more. Also, okay, is if they feel like they can do it. Like because if somebody said, I'm not sure, I said, look, if you knew for sure that you could at least double your income, is there anything that would stop you from getting started? No. So really, it's just a belief issue for you. That's all it is. Right. So what we really need to do is we need to go on some appointments. You need to see how it actually works. You need to see, kind of reactions we get from people and all that. And once we do maybe go on 5, 6, or 7, or maybe 10 appointments, you're going to see it clear as day, and you're going to be so excited you won't be able to sleep at night. Okay. That if somebody, that's what I would tell somebody. We just need to go see some people. And then the other thing I would do, this is one of the reasons I was able to get people to take me to see people. This is what I think you should do this with every recruit, no matter who they are. I would say, listen, one thing I want to really be clear about. I know we're going to go see people that you really care about, your family members and stuff, people you love, and that you don't want them to feel in any way, shape, or form that you're taking advantage of your relationship or trying to make money off. I know that. I understand. I felt that way. Okay. I want you to be very clear that I will absolutely never do anything to embarrass you. I will never push anybody unless, I won't push them and make them uncomfortable. If we can improve upon their current situation in some significant way, we're not even going to ask them to do business. Okay, it's only if we can help them. I just want you to feel comfortable that you take this to everybody because um, nothing. The only thing that's going to happen is something good's going to happen, or nothing's going to happen at all. Okay, so I don't want you to be hesitant or about taking me to see anybody that you care about because it doesn't work for me either. Because if I did that, number one, you never see another person, so that doesn't make any sense for me. And number two, I want people to get involved, and I want people to help you, and I want people to want to refer people to you. And if I operate like a professional, and I'm a gentleman, and I treat people respectfully, and I don't talk down to them or any of the things, I know that's going to happen. And we're going to have great results. Okay. And I would always let people know that they're not going to be embarrassed in any way, shape, or form. A lot of times people won't take you to see people because they're not sure. They don't trust that you might embarrass them or you might push these people too much, or that people are going to think that they're trying to sell them something they don't want or need. That's typically why people are hesitant about meeting with people is because they don't want to be sold something, right? And what we're doing here, although we are selling products and services, we're really offering basically a lifeline, a way for them to get where they want to go, a path. You have to have a path. You met, and I would tell people this all the time. I said, if they were hesitant about not putting together a plan, like an FNA, something, you've ever had somebody that's like hesitant about doing it, I said, look, you work, you work, you work for a private company, right? Or you did anyways, right? You work for a private company. How would you feel if the company you're working for had no plan, no financial plan for their viability going forward, no growth plan that will allow you to get promoted and do 2 years ago? Would you feel comfortable working for a company that had no financial plan, no game plan for their future? No, that'd be kind of scary. That would be scary, right? So why would you not? Why would you not want to have a plan for your life?
When you put it that way, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. See that I would ask that question. Really, just like that. Why would you not? If you'd want your company to have a plan, why wouldn't you have a plan? You need to operate. We need to operate our lives like a business should operate. Right? A successful business. All successful businesses have a plan. I guarantee you, Apple has a plan. I guarantee you, Microsoft has a plan. I guarantee you, Walmart has a plan. Those companies have plans, and they're going off in the future. They got plans, guaranteed. There's no question about that. All successful people have a plan, and I want you guys to be really successful. And as a result of that, I think you really need to have a plan. We need to get this plan together and get you on the direction of getting debt free financial. Okay, all right, let's get started. And I would close them on that, right? All right, we're just about done here. And then getting them off to a fast start. It's just getting the list and then teaching them how to set appointments and that sort of thing. Um, do you guys have any questions? Anybody have any questions? I'll take a few minutes and answer some questions that you guys might have.
The biggest question I get for potential recruits of whether or not going forward with the paperwork and coming on board is it's not clean. And I'm getting that from people for even like it's county finance majors or for people that have said, I'm not sure what I want to do, I'm looking for more. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, I don't think it's
Okay. So if somebody tells me it's not for me, and especially because I always ask the question, this is a question I always ask: what if you had the ideal income that you could make? What would that be?
$1 million a year.
$1 million a year. If they say a million or 200,000 or whatever, I would always ask that question because then you ask, and what is your current income at your job right now? And then they're going to say 60,000 a year. Okay, so you say it's not for you. You want to make $1 million a year. You're currently making 60. There's, I would assume there's absolutely no chance of you ever making $1 million a year, right?
That is a correct
So
assumption.
there's a potential for you to make the kind of money you really want to make that you just said, and you're currently not making anything close to that. I'm confused. Why would you not explore that? Did you see what I said there? How I did that? I'm confused. Why would you not explore that? And I would do it just like that. Because what I want to do is I want to make them realize how silly what they're saying is. You with me? That's because that's what that is. It's silly. You know, people say they're making 60 grand a year, whatever, 50, even $100,000 a year. There's no chance for them to make $500,000 or $1 million a year. And they have an opportunity, there's a potential opportunity for them to do that, and they're not even willing to explore that. That makes no sense to me. Does that make sense to you? No. So maybe it's not what you thought we would be doing, but you really don't have another option, right? So why don't we take a look at it and check it out and try it, give it a go. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, right? True. Again, it also comes down to why I talked about making sure you really understand the comp, so you can really explain it clearly to them, so they can see the potential for somebody that builds a business. That's one thing that's really important. You're talking to somebody like that, but really, but because they're not trained as salespeople, like you said, I'm not a salesperson. You know how to overcome that. Get the CD with the audio. That would really help you with that. But if they don't think it's for them, yeah, I would ask why. Why do you not think it's for you? Also, I mean, why? If there's a potential for you to considerably increase your income, there's a chance for you to get financially independent, debt free. There's a chance for you to be your own boss and have an enormous amount of freedom. I'm really at a loss why you wouldn't at least take a close look at that and explore it.
Hector, my cousin, I see the name Primerica. My cousin, I believe, tried this, and he's a pretty sharp guy, and it didn't really work out for him. So I'm a little hesitant to try it out.
Yeah, I hear that. I've heard that before, but that's because of your cousin. Because and I don't even because I'm sure he's a sharp guy. But see all this book here, I have all these people that are making 100,000, 200, 500. Why didn't it work out for them? What do you think?
No idea.
Well, because they went after them, and they did it. They probably followed the track, and they did what they were supposed to do. Maybe your cousin did. I don't know your cousin. I don't want to disparage your cousin, but maybe he didn't do that. But because he didn't do it, doesn't mean that you can't do it, does it? That's right. Okay. Let's get going.
How do you get for the people that need to go on a fast start? How do you get them to do a lot of appointments? I'm getting people that have full-time jobs, and they really in a month the most they've given me is like 5 appointments.
Well, the easiest way to get people to go on a lot of appointments is be a closer, so that when you go appointments you do go on, you get results. They see that and they get motivated to go on more appointments. You know what? That's why I did that thing earlier. I said if I would go on an appointment with you tonight, how many of you would set up an appointment with me? Well, there's a reason for that, and that's really what it boils down to. So people, they need to know if they're getting results, even if it's 5 appointments. If I can get you on 5 appointments and they're qualified, right? They're in the right market.
No, we don't qualify in my business.
You know what?
We don't qualify in it.
You don't qualify? Why not?
Well, we
You
try
don't-
to see like many people as possible.
Oh yeah, see that's where you're getting hurt there a little bit. Okay. Qualification is critically important when you're selling anything. Like if you were selling Mercedes Benzes, would you prospect the counter person behind in the 7-Eleven? Why? Because they're not qualified. Okay, it would be a waste of time, wouldn't it? Okay, so if you're going on a bunch of points, just going on appointments, and there's no qualification, you're going to spin your wheels, and the people are going to see a lot of energy expended with very, very poor results. You've got to qualify. Qualification is critical in anything. If you're going to, it's just like, in sales, it's really important because you only have so much time and so much energy. I was like mercenary about qualification because I knew that if I got an unqualified appointment, I'm going to close like 80 or 90% of the time. And I know if I go on an unqualified appointment, then the number goes way, way down. And that means I'm out working, spending my energy and my time with with very little potential of getting a result, a decent result. That's a recipe for going broke.
Now, how do you handle, for example, because we have the philosophy that if you don't really have an appointment, if you don't have any appointment, and let's say that people are not putting you already as just trying to qualified appointments, and they only have
Unqualified appointments.
non-qualified appointments, or you really don't have a solid lead.
Well, you need a prospect, and you need a prospect for the right people too.
Okay.
So even when you're prospecting for people, you need to recruit qualified people too. You know, that's why this couple here, and I don't know what Walmart did with you guys. Tell me sales you wrote, but I know if I was in your market with your situation, I'd have closed 20 or 25 sales in that market. I guarantee it. So, and then you would have been like super excited. You would have wanted going more. That's how it works. So you need to qualify your market. I don't know who's teaching you that, but
It's not me.
that's not smart. Yeah.
So as you're out and about and you find out maybe that they're not qualified, like maybe they're not qualified in that scenario.
Yeah.
The one thing that they're missing, what do you do with that?
That's fine. I mean, they don't have to be perfect. The ideal is these guys, right? The 5-pointer, married, children, homeowner, good job, living the area 2 years or longer, right? Those are the 5. I think that was 5, right? Things, right? That's ideal. But sometimes they don't want a home. They're renting. That's okay. They have a job. They have kids. Yeah, they're responsible people.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Go see them. Now, what you don't want to go see is a young single person living at home, or somebody that's just financially not qualified, because we can't help everyone, because not everybody's qualified. Like if it's somebody, they're just trying to make their rent and feed themselves and their kids or whatever, and they have no extra money, they can't do anything, right? I wish we could help them, but we can't, because they can't perform. They can't do it. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with them. It just means I'm trying to build a business, and for me to go see people like that, right, where there's a very high probability nothing's going to happen. It's what's the point of doing it? Yeah, I'd rather take that energy and that time and prospect and go find somebody that does, or go recruit somebody that does have good market. That's what you better off taking that energy and doing that than going on a bad unqualified appointment. Right. And the other problem you're doing when you do that, by the way, is you're teaching your trainee that that's okay, and it's not okay for them. You're setting them up to fail if you do that. That's why that's not good. Okay, to do that. Well, I mean, I think that's different with every situation. You know, like if I'm sitting with a couple like this, I'm going to talk about that at probably that first appointment. I'm gonna bring it up. Um, I'm assuming if I feel like they really get what I'm talking about, they're really excited about it, they see it, they see the value and all that, right? Then I might just, what was your name? Evelyn? I'd say I might just go, Evelyn, I don't normally do this, but I can see that you really get this and you're really excited about it. And would you mind if I shared our business opportunity with you? After I closed done the F&A. That's that after I do that. And I got commitments, because I'm going to get commitments on the F&A before I leave. In other words, like if I do an F&A, if I'm doing an F&A, I'm going to put all F&A together, right? And then I'm going to say, look, when I come back, I'm going to come back with a plan. That plan is going to be a very clear plan on how you can get debt free, how you're going to get debt free. It's going to be a plan on how you're going to get, financially independent, how you're going to save and invest money to get you financially independent someday. And it's going to have a plan on how to protect your family. And I'm going to point to all the things. So I'm going to put a lot of energy into it. So I'm going to spend some time making sure it's just right and customized just for you guys. So when I do that and I come back and the plan does everything I say it's going to do, right? I just want to know if I can get a commitment from you that if it actually does, and of course if it doesn't, I don't expect you to, but if it does, I want to just get a commitment that you're going to go forward, because otherwise there's no point in coming back if you're not going to do it if it actually performs. Is that okay? Can I get a commitment?
Yeah, if it performs and it makes sense.
Okay, that's great. That's perfect. And if it doesn't, of course, I would never ask. Okay. So I would get the commitment like that. I would always get a commitment because I don't want to spend all my time doing an F&A and come back and they go, oh, that's great. I want to think about it. No. That's not happening. Okay. I'm getting a commitment up front so that when I come back, right, we're doing business. And then I'm gonna recruit them. But if they agree to that, I might go ahead and talk about the business there as well.
My question more on the mic here, and it's what point are you gonna say about quality of research before
Oh, right then. But I'm doing the list. That's what I'm saying. That's what the list is for. This list is, and when I say this list is worth 10,000, 20, 100, that you know what? This is their list, and we're going to build you a business with this off this list. I mean, is that what you're asking? Yeah, right then. I'm talking to you about it right there. Or if we got to that place, yeah. If you got the list going, we're going to build a team. That's the whole point of this. Some of these people are only going to become clients. Some of them are going to give us referrals. Some of them we're going to get involved in business, and we're going to build you a team. We're going to get you to, first goal is get you to district leader, then the regional leader, then the regional vice president. That process could take as long or short as you decide. I mean, the more energy you invest could happen very quickly, or if you don't, then it's going to have to take longer, of course. So I don't know what your time frame is or what you want to do, but I'm assuming you want to make a lot more money as quickly as you can, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the more people we see, the quicker we see them, and start building your team, then that's going to help. Okay.
How do you overcome the objection when people talk about like the Herbalife together and more marketing the things that they want from carrots or like they think they know what we do.
Yeah.
Let's see that whole the misconception. How do you get over that and that conversation?
Okay, well, that's a good question because that comes up. The challenge with most network, I was just talking to a guy that has a network marketing magazine, online magazine. He has like 1 million subscribers. And I was telling him, I said, the challenge with most network marketing, I would say this, I don't know if they're involved. I said, challenge with most because I Amway, Herbalife, I did a bunch of stuff. Okay, so I know firsthand, but I also know that the challenge with most network marketing businesses is people don't make any money, not real money. The one really fantastic thing about Primerica is I have guys making $150,000 a year. They have no teams. It's just them. I don't know if Walmart has what I do. I have several guys that hardly have any team at all. And they make 15. You got them? Yeah. They don't have a business, but they're good at the business. They're professional salespeople, and for whatever reason, they're not building businesses, but they make money. They make 10, 15, 20,000, sometimes even 30,000 a month with no team. You cannot do that in any network marketing business but ours. There's none out there that allows it. If you notice, in those businesses, they don't publish people's incomes. They don't do it. We do. People make money here. It's not. I mean, you want to know what I make? Just go on POL. You can see what my income is. I mean,
how do you think that?
just like that. Yeah. See, I mean, you're the client. I'm saying, look, you could make money. That's the big difference. See, our business, it's not selling phone stuff or pills or diet things. If you're an Herbalife, for example, you sell a kit to a family or whatever, right? I don't know what they go for today. I mean, back then it wasn't very much, but I mean, it can't be more than $100. What do you make? Like $25, $50 or something like that. You spend the same amount of time in our business. When you sit down and you do a complete plan where you do a life sale and an investment and whatever, I mean, it's not unheard of to make, and especially if you do a decent investment, to make $300,000, $500,000 or more, right? Those things you can't do them. You have to recruit a gazillion people to make any money, right? That's the only way it's all recruiting. And a lot of those companies, they pay people for recruiting people. We don't pay anybody you only get paid here if you sell something. a product to a client. There's no way to make money here unless you're selling something. And a lot of those other network marketing businesses are like that. So and I don't think, I mean, I talked to John Addison about that. We have more people making over $100,000 a year than any other network marketing company in the world. We do, because you can make money here. You can make you can make. There's some that you can make money. I know that there's some people, but you've got to be this incredible recruiter that recruits, like I said, a bazillion people. You don't have to. I mean, how big's your team? Your licensed team? 2,200. Okay, 2,200 people, and your business is like my business, and you got about 20% of the people that do 80% of the business, right? So really, couple 200 or 300 people that are super active. 400 that do something. Okay, so 400 people, and he's making $100,000 a month doing that. That's not a lot of people. If you were in Herbalife and you had 400 people active, you would not be making probably $100,000 a year. So the difference is there's big money here if you don't need to have a huge team to do that, right? I mean, in other network marketing. Yeah. What's your name? Joyce. I'd say Joyce. Look, we're not getting off on the right foot here, because if you're going to have any chance of being successful, one of the things that's going to happen is you're going to have to be coachable. Okay, because if you do it the way you think you want to do it versus the way that actually works, you're not going to be successful, and no one's going to be happy. So we do it for a reason this way. And when you start building a team, if everybody you recruit doesn't want to do it until they get a license, you're never going to be able to train anybody. You're never going to be able to do production, and nobody's going to make any money. So I'm assuming you're getting involved because you'd like to make more income. Am I right? Okay. So then this is the way we're going to do it. Well, why did they lose credibility? Because nothing worked. Okay, well then that's even more of a reason why you need to do it the way I'm telling you, because this is the way you're going to make the most money, and I'm assuming you want to make the most money possible. Am I right in assuming that? Okay, so what you're saying, you're scared of what they're going to think about you. Okay, but let me just point something out to you. People who are afraid what other people think about them have virtually no chance to be successful. And I know you want to be successful, right? So why don't we approach the people and get appointments with the ones that we can, and then as you get better, we'll get appointments with the other ones. You have success, more, show signs of success, we can get with those other people. Okay. All right. You with me? All right. Thank you. Let me just point out, she is not me telling as much as asking questions. See, you want to be successful. It's questions. Always questions are the answer, aren't they?
Well, I think my question kind of segues off Joyce's thing that stood out to me today was the concept or the idea of the systematic desensitization. I think that's what
Steve talked about, yeah.
So as for me, like filtering a new agent, what would you say is a good time to get them uncomfortable and have them lead the presentation or lead that training?
Well, I wouldn't have them do any training first. I think you have to be licensed, right? So you need to get licensed first. Okay. Compliance. And I would never have a person do the presentation until I had them do it with me and I knew they knew what they were doing. Okay, so I would sit down with them and I would train them on how to do the presentation properly, and I would never let them go see the client on their own until I knew they could do that, how I want them to do that, how they needed it to be successful. And then as soon as if you can do a presentation for me after I've taught you and I go, that was really great, I would buy through you. That's when I would let them do it. Yeah. And that's when they're going to have the most success. Because if you don't do that and they start going and they're not really very good and they're, and they kind of blow it, what's going to happen is they're going to not get results and they're going to lose confidence and then they're going to quit.
Right.
Yeah. So you don't want to do that. That's why the training is so important, because the primary reason people quit Primerica is they don't make money. Yeah. And they don't make money because they don't know what the hell they're doing. That's why. Because if you know what you're doing, making money here is not very difficult.
Yeah.
It's not hard at all. Right, Omar? It's not hard to make money, but it's again, the difference between us and other network marketing, you have to actually train people here. If you don't train people, because there's a lot of things to learn, right? There's a prospect, there's setting appointments, there's how to present, there's how the products work, it's overcoming the objections, it's how to recruit somebody, it's how to get people trained and get a list. There's a lot of training involved up front, but once they know it, then they know it. Okay. But if you don't do the training, a lot of people build businesses, they try to do it like excitement, they just recruit and hope the winners win and losers lose, and they don't do any training. And that's a way to do it. Some people have done fairly well with that or done really well with that. But I don't think long range, if you're interested in being free,
I want to ask you something.
if you're interested in being free, you have trained people. One of the reasons that I have folks, my wife was diagnosed with breast cancer 9 years ago in October, and since then I have not done virtually any meetings, very few in that time period, because I was already financially independent and I was making a lot of money, you never, cancer is a scary thing. You don't know. I didn't know what was going to happen, and I didn't want to waste one more second doing anything that didn't involve my family. And I'm sure most of you could appreciate that. And that's one of the reasons I don't do meetings and do all that, because I don't want to do that. I didn't want to do that. And, but because of the way I've built my business, it's grown tremendously during that time period. And that's because of the training. And Omar's a trainer. You're lucky to be in his organization. If you're in it, I think most of you are, but it's the training. The training is what will set you free long term. It'll allow you to do what you do. I mean, I spent the month of January in Hawaii, and then I came back from Hawaii. Now I'm in Scottsdale, because it's really awesome there right now in Scottsdale. And then as soon as it gets hot, I'm going to Newport Beach. And then I'm going to Hawaii for another 6 weeks. And then I don't know what else I'm doing. I don't have a plan, okay? But I'm just saying, I have an embarrassingly good life, but it's because of the training. I'm telling you, I'll say that over and over and over again. It's teaching people like this, doing this over and over and over and over and over again, until you get people really, really confident, really great, and then it gets easy.
Hey Hector, and he isn't joking. He rang me up the other day, and I go, "Hey, what's up?" He says, "What's up? What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm working." "What are you doing?" He goes, "Laying on the beach." Thanks, Hector. I needed that. No, the question is, when you were like really cranking it years and years ago, I don't know if this is an excuse or not, but the world's changed. I mean, nowadays people wait longer, and then they wind up getting hitched up later. Married later on in life, So a lot of our guys, they are recruited when they're not married, like me. I was one of them.
Right.
If you recruit a person like that, that's not the issue, as long as they're credible and they could bring you into the right market, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah.
You have no issue with that.
No, not at all.
It's when you recruit the wrong person that leads you to a wrong market appointment, that leads you to a wrong market, and then you're working like crazy, and you're like, what the crap, this ain't working.
That's exactly right. Like Mario Arizona wasn't married when he got involved in the business, and so That's fine, there's nothing wrong with it. The one thing about, like, if you're young and you're single or whatever, you just have to get into the right market. If you're trying to recruit all your buddies, that ain't gonna work, okay? I mean, some of them might do, but pretty much for sure, most of them aren't gonna do it. So it's really you need to be in the right market. Even if you're single, it's not a problem. It's just like for me, if I was recruiting you and you were single, the only way I would recruit you is if you had a great word market and you had credibility. If you didn't have that, forget it, no way. It's not that I wouldn't do it, maybe one of my guys would recruit them, but personally, no way, I would never do that, because it's like, I know that the payoff for the time invested is gonna be so low that it doesn't make sense. Not if you're trying to build something, you know?
Right. And then what happens is, rather than them trying to prospect more and recruit another person, they're like, well, I got this one, even though they have no credibility and at least he's willing to try.
Yeah.
And so now they're going to waste their energy and time working with this person versus using that energy and time in prospecting to try to get another recruit for the right market, the right people that can lead you into the right market too.
Absolutely, 100%, yeah. So, you know, nothing is 100%, okay? So I would say my goal would be to have 80% of the people like really in the right market, and the wrong market people will be a very small percentage of those people. And the better you get, like Omar, I think about Arizona, but Omar, who's making over $1 million a year, he's really successful already, he's really good at the business. For him to work with anybody that's not like this couple is stupid, okay? Because he's got so much knowledge and ability, right, to help somebody, and for him to spend a lot of energy with somebody that doesn't have the right market. And if you're in the wrong market, you're not quite that, I'm not saying you can't be successful, of course you can. You're just gonna have to get really good. Like if you're young people ask me, well, I've got a young guy. I say, well, if you're young, it's a challenge, because you're gonna, if you're in the right markets, you're gonna be sitting down with, 30-year-olds, 35-year-olds, 40-year-olds, husband, wives. If you're like 22 years old and you're just young and you're single, the only way to overcome it is you've got to be really good at what you do. You've got to got these 7 fundamentals down. You've got to have it down. You've got to be good. Once people know you're good, then the age becomes irrelevant. It just doesn't matter, okay? It's really how good you are at the business. So my advice to you is, if you're not, you need to just get better at the business. You got to get really, really good so that you can attract the right kind of people. That's basically it. Because like attracts like. So if you're really good, you're going to be able to attract really good people. And if you're really good at teaching, you're going to be able to keep those people, because you're going to teach them how to make money and how to succeed, and they're going to stay. Again, people leave Primerica because they don't make money. People leave everything because they don't make money. It's not just Primerica, but that's why people quit. So my goal has always been is to teach people how to be successful across the kitchen table so they can make money, so they can stay. That's always my thought. If I can get you great at the kitchen table where you can close people, you can make money, you will stay here over time.
Hey Hector, the lady right there, in the white, right here.
Right here.
Keep it right.
Okay, all right. Hi. Sure. That's okay, it's all right. Go through with the client or what? Oh, no, you have to sit down and do it with them, yeah. Because, an F&A is like garbage in, garbage out. If you don't have the right information in there, it's not gonna work, Yes, the first appointment. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are you just starting, or who's training you? Yeah, well, you're new. You need to get them teach you how to actually do an F&A, how to process one.
Who's your upline?
Yeah.
Who's your upline? I can look it up.
That's okay. But that's the thing. The training. I mean, you've got to learn how to do that properly, because the reason an F&A is important is because it's It's a tool to allow you to market multiple products and help the client the most. Like if, a lot of people probably only sell life insurance or they only do securities. I don't understand that thought process. I think that's really dumb, but you should do both and you should build a business because that's where you're going to get free. But for whatever reason, some people just like they only do securities or they only do life. And either one of those things, I think, to me is a mistake. I think, it's like having a store and you only sell like one product. And you have all these other products in your store, but you're only selling one of those products because whatever reason you don't want to learn how to do the others or something. It doesn't make any sense to me. Limit your income. Red shirt.
Good afternoon. I'm sorry, my voice is not good. But I want to ask you one thing. What you have to advise to a woman which her husband doesn't support, let's see, probably economically, but knowing the business, you have 2 kids which they are teenagers at the same thing, so you are by yourself in this, and you try to do it, but you have right now an hour and something videotaping, and they're calling me so many times, and I couldn't reject.
Yeah.
You have to cook, you have to wash, you have to do everything in your house. Go and do it, try to do it everything for the dishes. Sometimes you don't have the same result as the men.
Yeah, eres Latina.
Y'all didn't know Hector knows Spanish, huh?
Yeah, well, the advice I always give to whether it's a female or a male and their spouse isn't supportive is you need to make money. Okay, that usually fixes it. I mean, the reason a spouse, my wife was not supportive so much in the beginning either. What turned her around is I'd come home, here's a check for $600, here's a check for $1,000, and I would just start giving her checks, and she goes, oh. Yeah. So it's always really getting results. So that's why you've got to get your skill sets up so that you can get good results and you can start making money. If you're making money and your income's growing and you're doing well, they'll come around at some point. They, I would think they would. I mean, I don't know your husband, but.
I understand that point, and I know I'm getting better, and I'm getting my husband this month. I will, 6 years like that.
Well, good.
And, the thing is that I'm going myself, and I'm trying to do it. The thing probably I love the most of the things I understand, but I think most of the time is when you don't have the other part help you.
Helping you.
You go home and everything for you do it, and you have to do it because if you're not, I don't know. But it's hard, that part. I don't know.
Well, it is hard, and it's hard for everybody. It may be extra hard for you, but again, you've got to get results. And nobody said it's not going to be difficult. It's just going to be worth it when you do it, and that's the way you have to look at it. You have to look down the road. A lot of times the way I would look at Primerica, the way I looked at Primerica when I started it, I looked at it like, well, I'm going to look at it like I'm going back to school. I'm going to get my MBA. I'm going to get my PhD. That's the way I looked at it. So I could have gone back to school, got my MBA, my master's, and my PhD in counseling or psychology. That would have taken 5 years, and who knows how much money, and even then, who knows what I would have made at the end. So I said, I'm going to take that. I'm going to learn this Primerica business. I'm going to treat it like it's going back and getting my PhD, and I'm going to get straight A's while I'm doing it. And when I get done, I'm going to make money. So that's how I looked at it. So for me, like I said, I'll say it again, I made 18 grand part-time, then 35, then 86. That was my third year of school, right? And in my fourth year of school, I made $409,000. And then I graduated and I made $855,000. That's a freaking great degree, right? You think about it. So that's how I looked at Primerica. Is that how you looked at it? That's how I looked at it. So that's the way you should look at this. Look, it's going to take a while, like you said, 5 years to get your degree. and you got a 60 grand a year job. How about 5 years and you make $855,000 in your 50? I mean, why not that? And God forbid, all the time that you're going to school, you're getting paid as you're learning, right? When you're going back to school, you're just spending money, right? If you go back to school, you're just spending money with the hope that you might get a job at the end. You don't even know if you're going to get a job, right? Look at all these kids today that go to college and come out of school with $100,000, $200,000 in debt, and then they can't get a job. Right, yeah, PhDs, all kinds of stuff. Here, you could go through it, treat it like that, and I mean, what I mean by get straight A's, master all the fundamentals and master the business, and I guarantee you, if you do that right, and you work, the big gotcha is the work part, you're gonna make money, and potentially a lot of money. You think Omar and I are like special? We're not special. I'm not special at all. I'm determined, I'm committed, relentless, but I'm not special.
Yeah, you just mentioned work. How much of that of your time was work? And like, for instance, did you pick up golf while you were doing Primerica or afterwards?
I didn't play golf till I was financially independent. I was already financially independent. I started playing golf when I was 35, and I made my first million when I was 31, I think. And I was already way financially independent by the time I took up golf. I used to be I played tennis in college. I was a very good tennis player. I played #1 on my college tennis team, and I used to play tournament tennis. I love that. You know, I'm a competitive person, and I used to love playing tournament tennis. And I quit tournament tennis. I stopped doing everything. You know, while I was building my business, I didn't do that. I loved it, but I couldn't do that because it takes so much time and energy and build a business. So there's you know, you gotta make some sacrifices if you're gonna succeed. That's just the way it is. I mean, I wish there was an easy way, but unless you're born in the Lucky Sperm Club, you're gonna have to work your ass off. Okay.
Our kids are that.
Yeah, our kids are that. You know, yeah, they are that. But
Right here, Adam.
Adam,
Row 1.
all right. I'm gonna have to get going here.
Yeah, this is the last question.
Yes. Right. Oh, you are? Okay.
Was there a point where you knew that you could take it as like, I don't know how much part-time, and when you knew, I need to take this whole time, I can get this?
Well, for me, I made 18 grand part-time that first year. And, you know, I had I had like $6,000 to $7,000 on credit card debt. I paid that off, and I saved about $7,000 or $8,000 after taxes and stuff like that. And then I knew I could do it at that point, you know, because I went full-time. Like I mentioned, in October of '84, I wrote 24 personal sales, and I wrote 36 in November. So I go, I can do this. And that's when I went full-time. You'll go full-time. All of you, if you're not full-time, and everybody who has gone full-time, people go full-time the second they believe they can do it. That's when they do it, not a second sooner, okay? So you gotta get your skill set up and your confidence to the level where you just go, I can do this, I know I can do it. And then that's when you'll go full-time. If people ask me, when should I go full-time? When should I get my people? I never push people to go full-time. A lot of people do that. I don't believe in doing that. I believe that the people that you go, I don't want to be responsible for people. So people, they need to, that's why I spend so much time training and teaching people. And you know, I'm a broken record, if you know. If you follow me, I'm always talking about this because that's the key. The key for all of you is mastering your business. Everything will come after that or from that, all right? So if you're not mastering it, it ain't gonna happen. And if you are, it's going to, over time, and it's not gonna happen overnight, you know? You gotta be patient. You gotta be patient.
Hey, Hector, we want to let you know we love you. We appreciate you. Hey, listen, everybody, listen. Not rush on and try to get back. We need to get him home to his wife. His wife has been waiting all day long, and if we let one, we're going to have hundreds.
She's going to be mad at me.
His wife's going to be mad at me, so we're out the gate, out the back.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.